3:40 over eastern Taiwan's Black Sea, 3 Type 055 destroyers lock and fire 6 YJ-21 missiles with shrieking trails, shockwave surging waves high. Simultaneously from Fujian, DF-21D launchers slam open. Dozens of ballistic missiles roar skyward, engines shaking earth and winds howling past bunkers. USS Ford's SPY-1 radar flashes urgent red amid flickering waves and tense steel creaks. At 04, 0 inches PLA bunker, red scans sweep silent maps. Deep underwater, Type 09, 3 fires, YU, 6 torpedoes, muffled blasts, dislodging US sonar arrays. In Okinawa Bay, 3 J-20 fighters burst from clouds, diving toward US carriers with prolonged engine shrieks and supersonic waves compressing the sea. US E-2D radars erupt in jamming static. Aegis blares Level 1 alerts. Satellite screens light up. Western Philippine skies flash as 7 DF-26 missiles launch from Xinjiang, 7-second rumbles vibrating infrared lenses. Inside USS Ronald Reagan, CIC, CIWS guns spin to 6,000 revolutions per minute with screaming metal. South of Guam, THAAD swivels tracking fire trails, warning sirens echoing. At 4:12, 27 YJ, 21 missiles converge from 3 directions, skimming waves with white-hot trails, ripping air, and carving jagged wakes. On Type 055 number 4, pressure fault sparks reverse arcs, steel hatch shuddering. North of Bashi, WZ-8 drone hits Mach 5, pulse sweep scrambling US carrier radar for 3 seconds. Guiwei 01 satellite blankets battlespace with ECM, US positioning drifts 40 meters. Inside USS Ford Combat Bay, Alpha Red Code triggers flashing white strobes in heavy silence. From USS Ford's lower decks, countermeasure rockets auto-fire, hot smoke billowing, thermal pressure warping metal hatches as acoustic waves rebound. Arleigh Burke's upper deck slams open VLS cells. 18 SM-6 missiles roar skyward in rhythmic blasts, deck vibrating. 1 DF-21D evades intercept, warhead splits. Steel-piercing core dives toward USS Tripoli with hypersonic whip crack. PLA command registers sudden target temperature drop, shifting to low-orbit imaging. Torpedo shockwave hits USS Princeton hull with deep thud. Ship lists 2 degrees. At PLA Spratley Station, geostationary satellite streams frame-by-frame carrier motion. Officers clench jaws, verifying final track. Over Nanjing coast, H-6 Newton's bomber ignites infrared radar. Turbofans snarl and pulses. Heat layer shattering lower clouds. At 4:28, 12 cm, 401 missiles launch in sea-skimming arcs at Mach 6. Explosive roars reversing coastal winds. 1 missile drifts from satellite error, guidance cut. Double warning sirens blare, then die. Inside J-20 cockpit skimming under 200 meters. HUD shudders, red attack angle lights blaze. At 120 kilometers, USAN SPY-6 locks priority 1 target. Hydraulics screeching like choked steel. Beidou constellation rescans battlespace. Converging beams yield green-lit intercept data with sub-2 meters error. Command lights pulsing. High atmosphere trembles as DF-26 warhead ejects casing. Plasma shards cascade through mid-layer. US radar whites out for 4 seconds. Fleet CIC activates dead hand protocol. At 5:1, Type 055, number 2 receives final strike signal. VLS reloads 3rd salvo. Jet engines howl. Thermal smoke engulfs entire deck. At 5:3, mid-atmosphere detonates. DF-21D warhead meets CIWS wall. US guns shred air. Metal fragments spark. Shockwaves echo into hull. WZ-8 drone dives. Extreme zoom camera locks USS Ford. Laser scan rattles glass. East of Luzon, 4 J-16 second skim waves. YJ-83 missiles ready. Engines thunder. Wakes slice white blades. US Mk-15 guns unleash bullet storm. Impacts hammer hull like steel rain. In PLA monitor room, young sergeant holds confirm button. Single lock tone rings. Silence falls. At 5:7, CM-401 skims 3 meters above waves and auto-separates its warhead into a golden mid-ocean blast, while USS Tripoli lists 4 degrees, and sailors grip rails amid red impact zone warnings. as steel shrieks to engines. Chinese destroyer mast locks the moving target and auto-fires a crisp report. Lone YJ-21 breaches every layer and dives into the U.S. escort cluster, where infrared slow motion captures an 80 meters water column. Sky shifts orange-red, with light glinting off J-20 visors. On carrier deck, CH-53 rotors spin rapidly for tech evacuation. Downwash shaking steel, while Type 09 3 turns 20 degrees below, detects odd vibration, then slices water with steel-like screech. U.S. Systems switch manual. Troops fire MIM. 104 by eye. Non-stop muzzle flashes crushing radio waves. DF-26 impacts near sea layer, precisely splits warhead, pierces final intercept, curves into USS Ford Center. PLA Center confirms objective red critical. Soldiers stand in unison. At 5:15, the J-20 fighters switched from stealth to attack mode, diving in a tight triangle formation. Inside the USS Ford, the command officer shut down all systems, the ship falling into a red glow, dead mode. A final CM-401 missile streaked up from a Chinese frigate, carving a blue arc across the sky before plunging downward. The impact split the sea, shattering the carrier's bridge glass, then silence. The USS Ford vanished from satellite view. Everything began to collapse. From the KH-11 satellite, the USS Ford tilted 7 degrees, its smoke still rising as heat flared beyond red limits. East of Guam, a Virginia-class submarine launched 4 Tomahawks, their muffled roars echoing beneath the sea. Chinese J-16 seconds caught the low-flying missiles, banking hard as alarms filled their cockpits. On an artificial island, HQ-9 interceptors flared, shredding the incoming trails. In Sanya Command, a general's cold voice ordered, "Intercept all cruise missiles priority southeast. No hesitation, no pause." Over the East China Sea, 2 U.S. Growlers jammed PLA frequencies, throwing every radar into chaos for 4 seconds. An SM-6 missile streaked upward, slicing the clouds in pursuit of a fading stealth trace. The J-20 twisted into a spiral escape, metal creaking under crushing G-forces. On the USS Boxer, sailors reloaded close-range guns, sweat dripping onto vibrating steel. From Hainan, the PLA launched CM-102 anti-radar missiles, switching all systems to pure physical mode. The counterwave had begun. The CM-102 missiles skimmed the upper air, locking onto U.S. radar emissions before bursting into fans of shockwaves that silenced the USS Kidd systems. South of Taiwan, 5 H-6 Newton's bombers released YJ-12 missiles, each one a streak of fire across the sea. American radar bent their angles in vain. One missile struck empty waters, echoing like a steel drum. Aboard a U.S. Seahawk helicopter, sonar claws plunged deep, no trace found. Beneath, the Type 093 submarine waited utterly still, breathless in the red light. PLA satellites scanned the ocean's surface, detecting abnormal heat and redirecting mid-range missiles through reflected geography. A U.S. supply ship was locked in, its deck trembling under distorted radar waves. At 5:27, CJ-10 cruise missiles launched from 3 ground platforms, painting the sky with spiraling fire. USS America issued Sea Evac Green, helicopters lifting off in chaos, rotor wash whipping seawater into mist. Inside one chopper, Marines struggled to unfasten munitions as static shattered their comms. No one could hear a thing. On the southern deck, J-20 fighters struck the U.S. escort ships in crossing fire, tearing through radar cabins with blinding flashes. America retaliated with B-1B bombers launching JASSM missiles skimming just 12 meters above the waves. Type 055 destroyers countered with HQ-16 interceptors, the sea boiling under superheated exhaust. One missile pierced the hull, igniting a chain of explosions down the bow. In the U.S. command room, red lines flared across the map, Chinese radar grid damaged. The counterattack had begun. At 5:35, the the U.S. Navy transmitted a tactical distress code, NATO satellites sweeping the Pacific in encrypted waves of light. Deep below, the Type 093 submarine shifted course and launched twin torpedoes that rolled through the seabed like thunder, silencing U.S. sonar grids. Above, J-16 fighters broke the sound barrier, shockwaves cracking the radar glass of USS Howard. The Ronald Reagan erupted in a storm of CIWS fire, metal screaming under pressure until one CM-401 missile cut through the defense, slicing the carrier's bow open as the ocean roared upward. At 5:41, 3 MQ-4C Triton drones entered the war zone, their long-range cameras capturing the tilted, burning deck of the U.S. fleet, radiation soaring past 1,000 degrees. The PLA retaliated with PL-17 anti-UAV missiles, fired from J-16 interceptors, streaking through broken clouds. One drone exploded mid-air, its last frame showing ships ablaze before the signal died. In the command room, a young officer whispered, "MQ destroyed." Silence followed, only the rhythmic beep of static remained. For 1.2 seconds, the entire battlefield went still, then braced for the next wave. At 5:44, rocket artillery PCL-191 roared from Hainan Island, over 100 shells lighting the dawn sky, the earth trembling as flames met the sea. One struck the USS Barry, igniting its deck and blinding radar screens with static glare. The U.S. fleet initiated a tactical withdrawal, ships burning as they turned northeast, engines howling under strain. Sensing the retreat, PLA suicide drones accelerated low over the waves, camera lights flashing red before self-detonation. In the command bunker, a general confirmed coldly, "Primary objective neutralized." The ocean fell silent again. At 5:50, a B-2A stealth bomber lifted from Diego Garcia, radar invisible, locking onto PLA artillery grids. It released a JASSM-ER missile, slicing the sky like a blade of light over the dark sea. On Hainan Island, Type 305B radar caught the faint heat bloom. Tier 3 counterstrike confirmed. HQ-19 interceptors launched, their curved trajectories flashing against dawn. Inside a dim control cabin, a female officer whispered into her radio, "Hold lock 0.3. No one breathed as the missile met its end in mid-air fire. The U.S. missile fell 400 meters short, crushing steel containers beneath its blast and sending pillars of fire spiraling skyward. America unleashed 50 Switchblade drones silent, gliding low like a swarm of metal bees. The PLA countered with WZ-10R jammers, scattering the control signals. Some drones plunged into the sea, others detonated mid-air in bursts of light. In the command deck, soldiers ducked as one. UAV skimmed the viewport but didn't explode. Only a faint hum lingered before vanishing. No one spoke. Eyes followed the empty air. At 6:04, the U.S. launched Operation Rapid Piercer. A B-1B bomber dropped a GBU-57 bunker buster onto a Type 055 destroyer, shaking the entire hull with a deep metallic roar. 3 J-20S ascended to intercept, chasing the bomber across atmospheric layers at Mach 2.6. The B-1B twisted violently, escaping radar lock as a PL-15 missile burst past its tail and self-destructed. Over Guam, a silent RQ-180 drone rose into the stratosphere, unseen by PLA radar. Inside its AI core, a new target glimmered C4ISR command infrastructure. The RQ-180 transmitted target coordinates to the Zumwalt-class destroyer, whose AGS 155mm stealth shells launched like arrows of light, silent, precise. One struck a PLA relay station near Fujian, flames rising 12 meters as communications blacked out for 4 minutes. Technicians rebooted backup networks, their fingers trembling over flickering keys. Nearby, a suicide UAV grazed Type 055's radar tower, tilting its axis off course. Seizing the gap, USS Bunker Hill fired a harpoon volley. The PLA's radar caught it a second too late, every heartbeat counted. HQ-16 interceptors exploded at 800 meters, pressure waves shaking the decks as seawater splashed back into the control cabin. One harpoon slipped through, striking Type 52D's ammunition bay. Fire raced from bow to stern, tearing the hull apart. PLA soldiers fought the blaze with ceramic blankets, their shouts lost in the metallic crackle. Over the coast, a US MQ-9 drone streamed live footage to the Pentagon, grainy but clear. Command confirmed coldly. Naval front, third phase engaged. Technology, sacrifice, and silence merged into war's new rhythm. The PLA unleashed its cyber warfare strike, Black Pulse. Electromagnetic waves ripped through US drone networks, freezing every UAV midair. Signals flickered, some drones plunging into the ocean, others drifting toward civilian zones. America switched to laser-based control, but response lagged behind the fight. PLA mini-drones countered with magnetic disruptors. One MQ-9 caught fire and spiraled down. For 5 seconds, the US command fell silent. Then a single voice broke through the static. Tactical handover. Engage underwater retaliation. The next battle was moving below the waves. At 6:30, USS Stetham closed in on the Type 52D destroyer, barely 5 kilometers apart, radars blazing like suns. The PLA fired first. Shells tore across the US bow, flames streaking through the bridge. Stetham retaliated with rapid cannons, 6 volleys shaking both ships as sparks danced across the waves. Hulls scraped, igniting seawater spray. Through the chaos, a PLA lieutenant shouted, "Lock left, fire all batteries." His voice cracked amid the roar of tearing steel. For a moment, the ocean itself seemed to scream. Beneath the surface, a Sea Baby suicide drone sped silently toward USS America, locking on from below. The US detection drone caught the signal half a second too late. The explosion lifted the carrier over a meter, waves crashing over its radar dome. From 200 meters away, the Type 093 submarine launched twin torpedoes that cut diagonally through the depths, blinding American sonar. Flood compartments echoed through America's corridors as engineers sealed the circuits. One, his face burned by steam, whispered faintly, "It's off, automatic." In the upper atmosphere, the PLA launched its prototype drone Timeline, soaring at Mach 7, with one purpose: disrupt the sky. It released a magnetic flux device, twisting GPS signals across the Pacific. American ships drifted 800 meters off course. USS Zumwalt switched to time-free mode, relying only on inertial sensors, cockpit lights flickering like dying stars. The US responded with Project Whisper, a low-frequency submarine transmitter invisible to radar. In Sanya Command, the order came cold and clear: lock X-band, cut all reflections. Darkness followed. From Guam, the US fired railgun rounds at Mach 5, their metallic screams slicing through the lower sky and striking Subi Reef's radar post. Heat waves rolled like fog across the shattered base. J-16 fighters swept low, launching PL-21 missiles to suppress the US fleet's radar echoes. In response, F-22S descended from the north, stealth reflections bending light until detection came too late. At 6:58, an AMRAAM streaked across the clouds, clashing midair with a J-20 in a split-second pass. The sky became a labyrinth of speed and sound. USS Blue Ridge issued the order, full recovery protocol, the entire fleet turning 48 degrees as radars pivoted aft and engines screamed at full thrust. The PLA's Type 055 destroyer pursued, launching YJ-21 missiles from an angled deck, each trail a twisting arc of flame through the fog. One missile skimmed the waves, while US CIWS guns wove a metallic storm in defense. Then the PLA released its prototype, Wanli-01, a Mach 9 autonomous drone. It dove, tagged USS Reagan, and detonated silently. The lights went out. The ship drifted powerless. At 7:05, the western sky over Manila burned red, dawn bleeding through fading smoke as the sea fell eerily still. US radio signals weakened, only 2 stations flickered, heartbeats of a dying network. The PLA fleet slowed, radars went dark, the only sound the gentle slap of waves on steel. Above, a lone J-20 circled silently, recording the aftermath, its engine hum fading into the wind. In PLA command, generals stood before a blank map. No cheers, no victory calls, only the heavy silence of a battle sealed shut. At 7:16, the sun rose above the South China Sea, its red light piercing through drifting smoke, staining the water with the color of rusted steel. A lone life jacket floated aimlessly, no flag, no name, just spinning with the tide, unseen by any radar. On the deck of Type 055, a young officer removed his cap and stared west, silent amid the haze. Nearby, USS America drifted without power, its torn flag fluttering faintly. A PLA soldier wiped a cracked scope, the sunlight glinting gold across the fracture. On the shattered artificial island, a ruined radar screen still flickered its final line, "Lock lost," letters trembling as if refusing to disappear. A lone seagull landed on a broken life raft, its hoarse cry echoing through the hollow shell. In PLA command, only 4 officers remained, eyes fixed on the fading tactical map, the green glow dimming into white. Aboard a U.S. vessel, sailors sat against scorched walls, oxygen tanks in hand, headsets still on, no voices returned. The air thickened with salt and smoke, waves tapping gently like the sea's last breath. At 7:16, the sun climbed once more above the South China Sea, its crimson rays piercing the haze, painting the waves with streaks of iron red. A single life vest drifted slowly, nameless, rolling with the current. On the deck of Type 055, a young officer removed his cap, eyes narrowed against the smoke, unmoving. USS America floated powerless, its flag torn in half and stained with oil, swaying weakly in the morning wind. A PLA soldier polished a cracked scope, sunlight flashed gold through the fracture. No one asked if they should still fire. On the ruined artificial island, a radar screen blinked its final words, "Lock lost," letters flickering like a dying heartbeat. A seagull landed on a shattered lifeboat, its raspy cry echoing through the empty hull. In the PLA command room, 4 officers sat motionless before a fading map, the green glow shifting slowly to white. Deep within a U.S. ship, sailors leaned against the steel wall, oxygen tanks clutched tight, headsets still on, though no voices came back. The air was heavy with salt and burning oil. The waves brushed gently against broken metal. Soft, steady, almost human. No one dared call it victory. At 7:30, a PLA drone made its final circle over the silent sea, camera gazing down at fractured waves glinting under faint sunlight. The U.S. transmitted a combat loss consolidation code, no words, only silent ASCII lines drifting across a dim monitor like a digital requiem. A chunk of UAV metal floated briefly, reflecting the sun before sinking again. On a PLA ship, helicopter blades turned lazily, not to take off, only to cool the engines. Soldiers sat on the deck, heads bowed. Then a faint signal from Beidou satellites arrived. All units' operations terminated. The ocean exhaled. The sky slowly cleared as layers of smoke dissolved into pale blue. Radar towers shut down one by one, their signals fading into silence, no response, no threat. Between the fleets, the sea lay empty and mirror-like, reflecting the calm heavens as if war had never touched it. A whale dove deep, tail flicking softly, the water trembling in 4 quiet pulses. On a damaged U.S. ship, a lone officer turned his radio, hearing only static, but he kept listening. Across the sea, the PLA sent its final message, status, no hostilities, status, stable. The world exhaled again. The sky shifted from amber to pale gold as sunlight spread across a sea scattered with drifting shards of metal silent, blindingly bright. A PLA soldier wrote in his notebook, "Is it over?" Then crossed out the question mark and closed it without a word. The American ship turned east, inch by inch, guided by no command, no autopilot, just the current. Above, a lone J-20 circled high, unarmed, glinting like a blade in sunlight. There was no white flag, no signal of victory, only the quiet realization that everything had simply stopped moving. A low hum rose from the ocean's depths, brief, without echo. The wind shifted, lifting the final ripple across the sea. On the PLA ships, crews dismantled equipment piece by piece, their silence heavy as bone. Reports read, all systems halted, no ammunition, no engagement. The U.S. gave no reply. The ocean lay bare. Satellites captured only a vast emptiness. No ships, no flame, no motion. At 7:59, the last military signal locked out, the battlefield shut itself down. Smoke thinned, the sky turned blue again. Nothing remained, only an aftersound,